asking you or soliciting you for information. This is a month to say it loud and proud. The second message that I have here is educational sore spot hinders achievements. And this is something that you are going to be dealing with for this month or in the past. You might have been passed over for promotions and things like that, mainly because of what are perceived to be educational sore spots. They could be real or they could be perceived, okay? So things about yourself that no one else thinks about, but you do. So they could be real or they could be perceived. They could be, just illusions. But either way, these are things that you need to overcome because they are affecting your, I want to say, your performance and also your the way people see you in the work environment in your professional sector. The third message here is beware of dubious dealings. And I feel like this is something that has happened since February, and it's coming back now, and you're trying to fix them. Fourth and final message here is gatekeeper of secrets. Now, this message came out in the card of the high priestess, and whenever I think of Piscean people, I always see the high priestess. People that know a lot, that have a lot of other people coming to them in confidence, telling them things that shouldn't be repeated. So you are kind of like that reservoir where people kind of dump their secrets. And in essence, you're the gatekeeper of secrets. But I feel like there are things here that you're not aware of, and you're not really aware of why it's happening. And I can explain a little bit about that for you in a little bit, okay? So, the first thing that I want to talk about here, say it loud and proud. You show up here as the Queen of Cups in the reverse position, and you can be male or female watching this. The Queen of Cups in the reverse is sort of like tired of having people take advantage of you, tired of doing so much for other people and not getting that thanks, that reciprocity, and that recognition that you deserve, and tired of people not operating in a direct, frank, honest, and truthful manner when they are dealing with you or when they're dealing with other people. And then tired of, I want to say like the human condition. Like how can we all band together and just get along and not have to um, emphasize or argue over our differences? So I feel like you're just tired of all these things, being bogged down with all of these things. What I am feeling overall is many of you, the environment that you grew up in, I feel like people were just very inconsistent, okay? So could be mom or dad, could be siblings, whoever it was that raised you, the environment itself, it seemed to me like, it seems like, different extremes. You might have been in a household where people follow things to the T. They were very dogmatic when it comes to their opinion, when it comes to their political, ideological, religious beliefs. And there wasn't really a path to follow. It was just, dogma, doctrine. And they didn't really think for themselves, and they told you what you had to do. And you're not really making that connection between what you had to do and exactly why you had to do those things. So you just did it, you just obeyed. And then for others, it's like growing up in a household where people were very, very inconsistent, and they say one thing and do another. They preach one thing and then they kind of hold that in themselves to like a higher standards or double standards, and they don't really practice what they preach. And so you're getting a lot of conflicting information, and you're also getting a lot of kind of like two-sided messages, okay? And life, morality, and just what's right and what's wrong and what's expected of me, expectations became very, very confusing. And so this message here, say it loud and proud, has a lot more to do with you, who you are, and what you're trying to do and what you really believe in, independent of all of those inconsistencies around you. If you are aware that people around you are inconsistent in whatever capacity, they could be hypocritical, they could just be they preach one thing, but then they make allowances for themselves. Hypocritical. Or they're not strong enough to really adhere to the things that they preach because it's difficult, right? So, whatever the circumstances and the people around you, you also need to understand that that is applicable to the way that they live their lives, but it's not really applicable to you, nor is it appropriate for you. And so, you kind of need to find out, what is appropriate for you? What is it that you're needing to do? And so I see a lot of Piscean people kind of going through life very muddled, lacking a definite sense of direction, lacking a definite sense of, what do I really believe in? Where do I draw the line? And what will I not or am willing to tolerate? So I feel this energy coming through where you're just trying to feel things out. And you're not really sure what's really right and what's really wrong. So it's that sense of, dubious morality, dubious like dealings. And you do make a lot of allowances for other people because you understand that, we are all just trying to do our best. And so what comes out as a result of that is you're not really sure where you stand. You're not really sure if everything that you've known is really, really true, or if it's just something that you grew up being exposed to, it's indoctrinated, and you just believe it as real when it doesn't really merit the belief, or it doesn't really stand the test of time. So I feel like you're dealing with you're dealing with that lack of what is really appropriate for me. And so you're on your path trying to find something that you believe in, trying to find that group, that ideology that really fits into your lifestyle. And then when you find it, you kind of need to own it, you kind of need to proclaim it, and you kind of need to just adhere to it. Okay? So don't be afraid of whatever it is that you believe in. Don't be afraid of whatever it is that you feel is right for you. You need to own it, and you need to, be um, vocal about it. I'm sensing some people that, believe in like esoteric teaching, like astrology, numerology, even palmistry, even like tarot readings, for example. But you kind of hide that part of yourself. You feel like, no, other people aren't really going to accept me. But at the same time, you want to expose it because you want to find a community or people who are like-minded, but you're afraid. So it kind of takes the back seat. You never really talk about it. And then in time, it kind of, it's like on the back burner. And then for others, you might have really strong, religious, political, whatever beliefs. And you're very subtle about it. And so you don't really tell people how you feel. You don't really preach it. You don't become, politically or religiously or whatever active, or you don't become that advocate. And then over time, people ask you, how do you feel about this? You kind of shy away from those big, divisive, or even big political debates. And so own it, don't run away from it. It's going to allow you to find people that are like-minded. And if it is something that you believe in, don't shy away from it. Own it, express it, and especially live it, okay? Once you start to do that, you're going to find yourself a lot happier, a lot freer, and you're going to find yourself in a position where you're going to be in alignment to find people or community of people that are similarly minded, to find a community of people that are like you, just as passionate about the same things, just as, I almost want to say like, that have the same aspirations, the same dreams, and they have the same goals as you. So the way for you to find yourself and to find that group and to find that community of people is to own up to the things that you believe, advocate for them, and say it, loud and proud, okay? The second message here, educational sore spot hinders achievement. Um, Many of you, what I have here is the Two of Wands, and the Two of Wands is kind of thinking about what's next. What's the next step that I need to take? What else is out there for me? I've been doing this for a long time. What else is out there? And the Two of Wands is a really beautiful card, but it also points to me a little bit of fear, trepidation, not willing to take that first step. Not like the Fool, where you take this blind leap of faith and hope everything is going to be okay. The Two of Wands deals with wanting to plan things out, not jumping into things, and being a little bit careful and cautious, and wanting to have somebody familiar to kind of venture into this next phase of your life with you. So it's like fear of doing the next thing on our own. And I feel like that's where many of you are at right now. I'm feeling many of you are thinking about a career change, okay? And you're thinking where I'm headed right now. Some of you are hindered mainly because everyone else, let's say they have a master's degree and they have a PhD, a doctorate degree, and you might only have a bachelor's degree, and you're just like, if I want to advance a little bit more, I'm going to need to go back to school. And or some of you are just like, my income generating capabilities is maxed out. They're not going to hire me without that advanced degree under my belt. So what can I do? Should I switch direction? Should I change, switch gears and go into a different path altogether? Or should I think about my career development? And every time we go back to school, it's a big trade-off, right? Because it's about leaving uh, school, like higher education. It would take like 4 for a bachelor's and then 2 years for a master's degree. If you're doing it part-time, then it takes a little bit longer. So you're kind of making that calculus, and you're trying to think about the trade-offs, 2 or 4 years of foregoing really good earnings in order to go back to school, or having to suffer through school doing it part-time and not having the time to yourself, and not having the time to for leisure activities, or not having the time to take care of everything that you need to take care of, children, family members, your significant other, and so forth. So for many of you, it's a very difficult decision. It's a big trade-off. I would advise that you do it, because investing in yourself, it's always a good decision. And if you think of education as a huge investment in ourselves, that's the way we have to look at it. It's, yes, it can propel you to that next step in your professional life where you get paid more, where your doors will open for you when it comes to promotion. Yes, you have all of these things. But ultimately, education is an investment. And the reason why you might not have taken this route is because you feel like I can learn through unorthodox ways. Like, I can learn through life. I can learn through working. I don't need to go back to school. But I feel like where things are set up for you guys professionally, school, additional schooling, additional education is going to be required. And going back to school, if you've been thinking about this, mulling this over for quite some time, I feel that you need to stop dithering and you need to just do it, okay? So big discussions are coming here in your professional life. And I feel like for many of you, there are people advancing, people that are new in the organization. They're advancing. And I also feel many of you are keeping in touch with your peers through social media. And you're seeing them progress professionally in their career. And you're seeing that, a few years ago they went to school. They disappeared. They just disappear off the face of the earth, off social media. And all of a sudden they've got their degree. And now they're like in a really good position. And I feel like that's becoming a big motivation for you. And it's there for a reason. I do think things happen for a reason. So really think about that. Others of you have already reached that zenith. So it's like you're at the top of that mountain. And you're trying to figure out what's next. What's next for me? Do I want to stay here? Or do I want to go abroad? So I feel like you're staying here. The reason why you're staying here and you're not really pushing yourself to go abroad or pushing yourself for something new is because you have all of these, I want to say, earthly belongings, earthly possessions. So the message I'm hearing here is part ways with your earthly possessions, homes, mortgage, um, car payments, like all these little things. Well, they're not little. In the greater scheme of things, they are small. But where you are right now, these are things that you have spent a lot of time building up. Okay, so they're not just frivolous things. But I also feel many of you are really good, are really into collecting antiques, collecting like beautiful, artwork, and I'm seeing like big picture frames. I'm seeing many people doing a lot of art, like collecting paint. But I do see a lot of paint, and it's like paint palettes or makeup palettes, but there's a lot of it, brushes and things like that. And those things are expensive. And if you were to leave them behind, it would take you years to accumulate the same amount. And so you have all of these earthly belongings, earthly possessions that are really weighing you down more than anything. And I know that you're aware of it, but it's really hard for you to, think about them not being in your life, mainly because they're recreational things that you can fall back on. And they took a really long time to accumulate, so you're not ready for that process. But I definitely feel you're being bogged down with a lot of material things, and it is time for you to kind of sort through and figure out exactly why that's there, and whether or not they're really hindering your ability to be mobile, your ability to come and go as you please, your freedom of movement overall. My rule of thumb overall when it comes to things around the house, if you haven't touched it in 3 months, throw it out, donate it, whatever it is, okay? When it comes to clothing, and if you live in a more seasonal, like, location where you have summers and winters, if you haven't touched it in 6 months, donate it, throw it out. So that's my rule of thumb to a more minimalist lifestyle. You're going to find yourself a lot more happy, okay? So others of you, you have the education, you have the credentials, but I definitely feel like a severe lack of self-esteem. And with the Queen of Cups in the reverse, it's almost like um, feeling overshadowed or feeling overpowered in some way as a child. So that means, you might have had siblings that overshadowed you. You lived in their shadows. And it's inadvertent. It could be deliberate or inadvertent. But you always think of yourself as like, oh, they're a lot smarter than me. They're a lot more successful. They have, beautiful children. They have a beautiful house. They make more money than me. So that's your personal hang up, okay? And you kind of need to release that. And then for others of you, feeling overpowered as a child, having parents that imposed a lot of expectations on you, and they were so perfectionistic that you felt like everything you did was not good enough. And so that can also be, very traumatic. And so you become an adult where you speak in a way that is very meek, that is very evasive, because you don't want to be judged, you don't want to deal with criticism. And so speak up for yourselves, proclaim things loud and proud, and own up to your own ideas, and own up to, just how intelligent you are, okay? And this month, there will be opportunities for you to kind of get involved, get your hands dirty, do things, whether it be more of the creative nature or a little bit more, technical, whatever it is, you're going to have an opportunity to shine in your work environment. And then you're going to start to see this whole time that you've been hanging, you've got these hang-ups that you needed to get rid of. And so you're going to start to shine. People will start to see you as a force to be reckoned with. And they're going to start to see how intelligent you are, how capable you are. And the whole time, I feel like you were hiding this part of yourself. So you have an emergence here. And I also feel for many of you, you're getting your first wave of support through love relationships. Either it's like a new relationship where someone is just like, hey, you're actually really good at this. You should do this more. They're giving you that encouragement. They're giving you that love and that support. And because of that, you're able to kind of believe in the things um, that they're saying that's really great about you. Okay, so it's like gaining in self-confidence again. So, third message here, beware of dubious dealings. There's something going on here in your work situation where I feel almost like many of you are dealing with really sketchy environments. Somebody is telling you, you know, I did this, I committed fraud, I got involved in all of these things, and you just annotate it, but you can't really expose it. So it could be like confidentiality agreements between you and a client. If you're like a social worker, a therapist, even a paralegal assist, like a paralegal or even a lawyer. Okay, so for those of you in the legal profession or in the humanitarian profession, someone is telling you a lot of shady things that they have done or that have been done to them. You're annotating everything, you're documenting everything, but you're not really divulging information. So I feel like confidentiality. And then for others, I feel like there have been some shady financial dealings, things like done in the darkness of the night, people getting paid under the table, and things like that. So discussions regarding these issues, discussions about what I'm seeing here is it's the Five of Cups, and then the deck that I'm using says Mars in Scorpio. Mars in Scorpio basically deals with Mars deals with actions. Scorpio is a very, very underhanded, but it's also like below the surface. Okay, so it seems to me like dealings that are below the surface, dealings that are a little bit shady, a little bit sketchy, or things that are done in a way where you're not really sure what exactly happened, who's involved. And so many of you might be doing some investigation, some digging into some transactions. Many of you are following the trail of the breadcrumbs to see where it leads you. Many of you are sifting through financial transactions to figure out what exactly happened. And it is